All right. Happy Sabbath, everybody. I'm going to continue studying the book of Psalms. We ended on chapter 69 last time. We don't have anything in the Dead Sea Scrolls for chapter 70. So we'll be doing the Septuagint. This is the Thompson Septuagint. We'll start here. Well, we'll start on the Brenton Septuagint. It's a chapter behind, so that'll be 69. And I've got Blue Letter Bible pulled up, Psalms KJV pulled up, and some Aramaic Targum translations pulled up. So we'll start on Psalm 70 and Brenton Septuagint. For the end, by David, for remembrance, that Yahuwah may save me. That's what we're all hoping for. Draw nigh, O Elohim, to my help. Let them be ashamed and confounded that seek my soul. Let them be turned backward and put to shame that wish me evil. Let them that say to me, Aha, aha, be turned back and put to shame immediately. Let all that seek thee exult and be glad in thee. Let those that love thy salvation say continually, Let Elohim be magnified. But I am poor and needy. O Elohim, help me. Thou art my helper and deliverer. O Yahuwah, delay not. And that's interesting. Yahusha is Yahuwah is my deliverer. So Elohim, help me. Thou art my helper and deliverer. O Yahuwah, delay not. So we do have 71 here in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Psalm 71 from Cave 4, 83. In you, Yahuwah. See, there's no Lord there. So you go over here to modern translations. Dead Sea Scrolls is way, way before. So they got Lord in there. Let me zoom in here so you can see good. Yeah, zoom in a little more. Yeah, probably zoom in more on that. I don't know why it does that. It always zooms back out when I try to zoom it in. It saves one setting and not the other. So you'll see there, Yahuwah, there's no W, but modern translators translate it as a W, W. You can look up where the W came from. It was a U before. So if you go to Psalm 70, that's kind of awkward. Let's get over here. Yeah, this thing don't work very good. Scoot. Scoot back over here so I can you never get the microphone to work right. All right. Psalm 70. Let's go. This is more comfortable. If you go to Psalm 70 and the Strong's Concordance, you'll see, let's see what verse we're on. Psalm 70 verse 1. Yep, 70 verse 1. That's got Yahuwah there. In you, Yahuwah, I take refuge. Never let me be disappointed. Oh, 71. 71, my bad. Psalms. Okay, there we go. See where it's got Lord here. H3068. Yehovah. Okay. Translated as Lord 6,510 times, as God 4 times, and Yehovah, or Jehovah, there's no J, Yehovah 4 times. Go down here, unpronounced except with the vowel pointings of H136. So this is not the pronunciation of here. This is the vowel points. They're not saying the letters. Go down here, H136. Adonai. All right, what's that? Lord. Lord, Lord. See? It goes even deeper. Lord in Hebrew is Baal. If you go to Baal, they've just replaced his name with Baal. because they say the name's too holy to pronounce, so we're just going to say Baal. Let's see here. I can get it to pull up. Bamat. Let's see. That's not the one. It is, yep, Judges 2:13. This might do it. Baal. There you go. H1168. It means Lord. Supreme male divinity of the Phoenicians or Canaanites. Not the same God. So, it's Yahuwah. Deliver me in your righteousness and rescue me. Turn your ear to me and save me. Be to me a rock of refuge, my heart. So that is, meaning is unclear. This is not in the manuscript, but it's in our translation. Thou art my fortress and my refuge. Give the command to save me, for you are my rock and my fortress. Who's the rock? First Corinthians 10:4, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. So Messiah is the rock, Yahusha. And this goes a little deeper here. You'll see they use Lord or Baal for Yehovah. Same thing. Well, if you go to the New Testament, we'll look at the name. You know, if they mess with the Father's name, doesn't it make sense that they mess with the Son's name as well? You go here, Jesus, G2424, Iesus in the Greek. There was no J, so J is a new name. But same thing, it means Jehovah is salvation. Well, we just found out Jehovah is a false name. Baal's not salvation. Yahuwah is salvation. Wrong name. Failed again. So Messiah is the rock. Rescue me, my Elohim, from the hand of the wicked, from the hand of the unrighteous and cruel man. For you are my hope, Master, Yahuwah, my confidence from my youth. I have relied on you from my womb. You are my protector from my mother's womb. I will always praise you. I am a marvel to many, but you are my strong refuge. My mouth shall be filled with your praise, with your honor all day long. Don't reject me in my old age. Don't forsake me when my strength fails. For my enemies talk about me. Those who watch for my soul conspire together, saying, Elohim has forsaken him. Pursue and take him, for no one will rescue him. Elohim, don't be far from me. My Elohim, hurry to help me. Let my accusers be disappointed and consumed. Let them be covered with disgrace and scorn who want to harm me. But I will always hope and will add to all of your praise. All right, so we're missing a good chunk of that. The next parts, we'll go to the Brenton Septuagint, 71. For Solomon, O Elohim, give thy judgment to the king and thy righteousness to the king's son. Solomon was David's son, that he may judge thy people with righteousness and thy poor with judgment. Let the mountains and the hills raise peace to thy people. He shall judge the poor of the people in righteousness and save the children of the needy, and shall bring low the false accuser. And he shall continue as long as the sun and before the moon forever. That will be Messiah. And so it's got the king's son, King Yahuwah, his son's Yahusha. He shall come down as rain upon a fleece and as drops falling upon the earth. In his days shall righteousness spring up and abundance of peace till the moon be removed. Right, till the moon be removed, that'd be Messiah. And he shall have dominion from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth. The Ethiopians shall fall down before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust. The kings of Tarshish and the isles shall bring presents. They brought presents to the Messiah. The kings of the Arabians and Sabah shall offer gifts, and all kings shall worship him. All the Gentiles shall serve him. So that's the Messianic reign. All the kingdoms serve him. Zechariah 14. Isaiah 1. I think. All nations come to learn the law of Yahuwah. Let's see. Yep. Isaiah. Yeah, you'll see this is the end here. I'll restore thy judges at the first and thy counselors at the beginning. Afterward thou shalt be called the city of righteousness. Yeah, the faithful city. Melchizedek, Messiah's name, king of righteousness, city of righteousness. Same thing. Zion shall be redeemed with judgments, and her converts with righteousness. Oh, I think it's 2 then. Yep. It shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahuwah's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. If we were in the millennial reign, his kingdom would be right now. It says Satan comes to deceive the nations. It does not say that his kingdom passes away after it comes. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of the Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, shall rebuke many people. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Okay, so we've still got war and swords. That's what a gun is and a tank is. That's a sword. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Jacob, come ye and let us walk in the light law of Yahuwah. See? All right, so all the Gentiles shall serve him. I guess I could show you that too. Some people may not know, so I'll just, I know I go over a lot of the same stuff, but, you know, there might be somebody new that don't know, trying to help. So, Zechariah 14, you see here, I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. The city shall be taken, the houses rifled, the women ravished. Half the city shall go forth into captivity. The residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall Yahuwah go forth and fight against those nations as he fought in the day of battle. So he gathers all nations in the valley of, what is it? It says the valley of the vision, the valley of destruction, or it's in Joel also. The valley of the slaughter, the valley of judgment. Different translations have it different. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. There shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. See, that hasn't happened yet. He didn't come, and when he comes, people are going to know. So you got, yeah, I believe we're coming up on this, but it's not. It's I think a lot of people read that against Jerusalem to battle. Well, that happened in 70 AD, and you know, it's against his people, but not necessarily. There's a lot of scripture that say there's strangers in the land that's going to be cleansed. He's going to cleanse them. The people there that are there are not his people, so this could be very well be those people there now. So I think so. And go down here. Right. And it shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the king. Oh, verse before. It shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations, when he comes back, when he destroys the sinners, and he cleanses the land, and he brings the saints in, which came against Jerusalem, shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahuwah of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. No nation does that I know of. No Gentile nation does that. It shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahuwah of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. It's raining at my house today. And nobody went up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So can the millennial reign be here? No. So, for he has delivered the poor from the oppressor, and the needy who had no helper. He shall spare the poor and the needy, and shall deliver the souls of the needy. He shall redeem their souls from usury and injustice, and their name shall be precious before him. He shall live, and there shall be given him of the gold of Arabia, and men shall pray for him continually. And all the day shall they praise him. There shall be an establishment on the earth, on the tops of the mountains. The fruit thereof shall be exalted above Lebanus, or Lebanon. This is a Greek translation. And they of the city shall flourish as the grass of the earth. Of the city, New Jerusalem, flourish. Let his name be blessed forever. His name shall endure longer than the sun, and all the tribes of the earth shall be blessed in him. The end. All nations shall call him blessed. Blessed is Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, who alone does wonders. I seen a video a while back where somebody was doing something where it showed in Daniel and I think Isaiah where it says wonderful counselor. It can also be translated as wonders. And blessed is his glorious name forever, even forever and ever. Excuse me. And all the earth shall be filled with his glory. When he comes back. So be it, so be it. Amen, amen. The hymns of David, the son of Jesse, are ended. So I'm not sure if he wrote this to Solomon or they just added it thinking this was reference to Solomon, but it is not. That's a reference to the king. The king. King Messiah. A psalm for Asaph. How good is Elohim to Israel, to the upright in heart. But my feet were almost overthrown. My goings very nearly slipped. For I was jealous of the transgressors, beholding the tranquility of sinners. For there is no sign of reluctance in their death, and they have firmness under their affliction. They are not in the troubles of other men, and they shall not be scourged with other men. Therefore pride has possessed them. They have clothed themselves with their injustice and ungodliness. Their injustice shall go forth out of fatness. They have fulfilled their intention. They have taken counsel and spoken in wickedness. They have uttered unrighteousness loftily. They have set their mouth against heaven, and their tongue has gone through upon the earth. Therefore shall my people return hither. Who's his people? Israel. And full days shall be found with them. And they said, how does Elohim know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the sinners, and they that prospered always, they have possessed wealth. And I said, verily in vain have I justified my heart, and washed my hands in innocency. For I was plagued all the day, and my reproof was every morning. If I said, I will speak thus, behold, I should have broken covenant with the generation of thy children. And I undertook to understand this, but it is too hard for me, until I go to the sanctuary of Elohim, his temple, New Jerusalem, and so understand the latter end, or the end days. Surely thou hast appointed judgments to them because of their crafty dealings. Thou hast cast them down when they were lifted up. Let's see, 73. Understood their end. The latter end. Surely those judgments. How have they become desolate? Suddenly they have failed. They have perished because of their iniquity, lawlessness, as the dream of one awakening. O Yahuwah, in thy city thou wilt despise their image. I wonder. Lawlessness, desolation. We know the whore is desolate, right? Isaiah 1:7, your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire, your land, strangers devour it in your presence. It is desolate, is overthrown by strangers. Strangers inhabit the land, right? Yeah, you have to separate what was desolate then and what was desolate now. Because he kicked the northern kingdom out. He kicked the southern kingdom out. The southern kingdom returned, got kicked out again. And then strangers inhabit it. Upon thy sanctuary that is desolate. Mountain of Zion, which is desolate. The foxes walk upon it. Foxes. What Herod was a fox, right? Let's see. Despise their image. Revelation 13:15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. That's right before and or with the mark. For my heart has rejoiced and my reins have been gladdened, but I was vile and knew not. I became brutish before thee, yet I am continually with thee. Thou hast holden my right hand. Thou hast guided me by thy counsel. Thou hast taken me to thyself with glory. For what have I in heaven but thee? And what have I desired upon the earth beside thee? My heart and my flesh have failed, but Elohim is the strength of my heart, and Elohim is my portion forever. For behold, they that remove themselves far from thee shall perish. Thou hast destroyed every one that goes a whoring from thee. But it is good for me to cleave close to Elohim, to put my trust in Yahuwah, that I may proclaim all thy praises in the gates of the daughter of Zion, New Jerusalem. Uh, 73, Brenton Septuagint 74, and the regular translation, most translations 74. A psalm of instruction for Asaph. Wherefore hast thou rejected us, O Elohim, forever? Wherefore is thy wrath kindled against the sheep of thy pasture? Remember thy congregation which thou hast purchased from the beginning. Thou didst ransom the rod of thine inheritance. Dismount Zion, wherein thou hast dwelt. Lift up thine hands against their pride continually, because of all that the enemy has done wickedly in thy holy places. And they that hate thee have boasted in the midst of thy feast. They have set up their standards for signs. The people over in the land, they keep the feast. Well, it looks like they keep the feast. Ignorantly, as it were, in the entrance above, they cut down its doors at once with axes, as in a wood of trees. They have broken it down with hatchet and stone cutter. They have burnt thy sanctuary with fire to the ground. They have profaned the habitation of thy name. They have said in their heart, even all their kindred together, come, let us abolish the feast of Yahuwah from the earth. Yep. I thought that's who they might be talking about. Let us abolish the feast of Yahuwah from the earth. Daniel 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. But So up until, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it until the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. That hasn't happened yet. Whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Right? So he changed times and laws. Who did that? Constantine. So let me zoom in. Sorry. Thing keeps zooming out on me. All right. So find one that's got an accurate account here. Let's see. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Constantine outlaws the feast of Yahuwah. Constantine bans home churches. Bans all Jewish practices. Judea practices, not Jewish. Yeah. Pretty much says you can't do the feast and you can't do the Sabbath. You got to do Sunday. You got to have Easter. You got to keep our feast. So come, let us abolish the feast of Yahuwah from the earth, which they did. Rome did that. Constantine did that. We have not seen our signs. There is no longer a prophet, and Elohim will not know us anymore. How long? Oh, so we know what they're talking about. So we know the time frame here. All right. How long, O Elohim, shall the enemy reproach? Shall the enemy provoke thy name forever? So David's seeing this and he's like, how long? Wherefore turnest thou away thine hand and thy right hand from the midst of thy bosom forever? But Elohim is our king of old. He was the king before. He's the king now. He has wrought salvation in the midst of the earth. That's when he comes back. So David says, how long? And then he comes back, right? Thou didst establish the sea in thy might. Thou didst break to pieces the heads of the dragons in the water. The dragons in the water. Who's that? You got to do. I mean, I'm sure Yah can show you in any way he wants to, but for me, I had to study. So the creation account in Jubilees, also found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, kept as Torah. Yeah, that's right. So people not using Jubilees are missing Torah, and they're supposed to be keeping Torah. But yeah, John the Baptist, Messiah, disciples went out in the wilderness of Judea. They kept Jubilees as Torah. It says in the Damascus document, the new covenant in the land of Damascus. That's not it. Yeah, that's it. So Jubilees 2. It's interesting. I just shared this with a brother earlier. So, and this kills the lunar Sabbath and the lunar calendar. Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and for feasts and for years and for Sabbaths of years and for Jubilees and for all seasons of the years. The moon still plays a role, but the greater light runs everything. So, on the fifth day, he created great sea monsters in the depths of the waters, for these were the first things of flesh that were created by his hands. See, great sea monsters, right? If you go to, I'm glad he shared that. Thank you, John. 2nd Ezra 6. And watch out, all translations are not created equal. They've got Enoch's name in the King James Version. You go over to a different translation. 2nd Ezra 6. This is a brief quote from the RSV. I'm not using it for the whole thing. All right, so 2nd Ezra 6:49. Stop with the pop-ups. Sorry about the ads. Then thou dost keep in existence 2 living creatures. The name of the one thou dost call Behemoth, and the name of the other Leviathan. Can you zoom in and stay zoomed in? Oh my goodness. All right, so you got Behemoth and Leviathan, and thou dost separate one from the other, for the 7th part where the water had been gathered together could not hold them both, and thou dost give Behemoth one of the parts which had been dried up on the 3rd day to live in it, where there are 1,000 mountains. But Leviathan thou dost give, this is it right here, the 7th part, the watery part, and thou hast kept them to be eaten by whom thou wilt and when thou wilt. And Leviathan is dinner for the saints, the supper of the Lamb, from my understanding, what I see in the scriptures. So be eaten by whom thou wilt and when thou wilt. Jeremiah 38 in the Septuagint. He gathers everybody to Passover. So break the heads of the dragons in the water, right? So you can go, if you need a canonical reference, go to Job. Right? Job 41, can thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? What do you put a hook in? A fish. Can thou put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a horn? Yep. So you can read the rest of that. Job chapter 41. Leviathan, Behemoth's in there also. 2nd Baruch, another witness. Second Baruch, let's see, is it 29? Yeah, here we go. So 2nd Baruch 29, and Behemoth shall be revealed from his place. Zoom back in again. Okay, now it's messed up now. Behemoth shall be revealed from his place, and Leviathan shall ascend from the sea. See, those 2 great monsters which I created on the 5th day of creation. We saw that in Jubilees, and shall have kept until that time. So how did the author of this know it was the 5th day of creation? How did 2nd Ezra know it was the 5th day of creation? Shall have kept until that time, then they shall be for food for all that are left. Blessed are those that are left behind more than those that be taken, right? It's better to be left behind, not taken away and burned. The earth also shall yield its fruit 10,000-fold, and on each vine there should be 1,000 branches, and each branch shall produce 1,000 clusters, and each cluster shall produce 1,000 grapes, and each grape shall produce a core of wine. Right. So this is the end, right? Shall the Messiah shall then begin to be revealed, right? All right. So we know who the heads of the dragons in the water is, Leviathan. Thou dost break to pieces the heads of the dragon. Thou dost give him for meat to the Ethiopian nations. There's quite a few prophecies of Ethiopia coming back. And that's where Judah and Benjamin went to. Thou dost cleave fountains and torrents. Thou driest up mighty rivers. The day is thine, and the night is thine. Thou hast prepared the sun and the moon. Thou hast made all the borders of the earth. Thou hast made summer and spring. Remember this thy creation. An enemy has reproached Yahuwah, and a foolish people has provoked thy name. Deliver not the wild beast to the wild beast a soul that gives praise to thee. Praise Yahuwah. Forget not forever the souls of thy poor. Look upon thy covenant, for the dark places of the earth are filled with the habitations of iniquity, lawlessness. Let not the afflicted and shamed one be rejected. The poor and the needy shall praise thy name. Arise, O Elohim, plead thy cause. Remember thy reproaches that come from the foolish one all the day. Forget not the voice of thy suppliants. Let the pride of them that hate thee continually ascend before thee. Psalm 74 Septuagint, 75 regular. For the end, destroy not a psalm for Asaph. We will give thanks to thee, O Elohim. We will give thanks to thee and call upon thy name. I will declare all thy wonderful works. When I shall take a set time, I will judge righteously. The earth is dissolved and all that dwell in it. I have strengthened its pillars. Pause. The end. I said unto the transgressors, do not transgress, and to the sinners, lift not up the horn. Lift not up your horn on high. Speak not unrighteousness against Elohim. Don't speak against his law. Don't speak against him or his Messiah, Yahusha. For good comes neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the desert mountains. For Elohim is the judge. He puts down one and raises up another. Fear. What's he say here? Be not high-minded. Romans 11:20. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. Right? Paul knew what he was talking about. For if Elohim spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. Let's see. Yep. For Elohim is the judge. He puts down one and raises up another. For there is a cup in the hand of Yahuwah full of unmingled wine. We already know this is the end, right? And you see the cup he gives to Babylon to drink. He has turned it from side to side, but its dregs have not wholly poured out. All the sinners of the earth shall drink them. Babylon is Israel. That land they call Israel over there. Cup. Babylon. Babylon hath been given a golden cup in Yahuwah's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, that therefore the nations are mad. Jeremiah 51:7. Revelation 16:19. And the great city was divided in three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before Elohim to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Right? Isaiah 51:17. Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which hast drunk at the hand of Yahuwah the cup of his fury. Thou hast drunken the dregs of the cup of trembling, and wrung them out. So, but I will exalt forever. I will sing praises to the Elohim of Jacob, and I will break all the horns of the sinners, but the horns of the righteous one shall be exalted. The righteous one, Messiah. Psalm 75:76 in regular. For the end among the hymns, a song for Asaph, a song for the Assyrian. Elohim is known in Judea. His name is great in Israel, and his place has been in peace, and his dwelling place in Zion. There he broke the power of the bows, the shield, and the sword, and the battle. Pause. They beat their swords into plowshares, right? Thou dost wonderfully shine forth from the everlasting mountains. All the simple ones in heart were troubled. All the men of wealth have slept their sleep, and have found nothing in their hands. At thy rebuke, O Elohim of Jacob, the riders on horses slumbered. Thou art terrible, and who shall withstand thee because of thine anger? Thou didst cause judgment to be heard from heaven. The earth feared and was still. When Elohim arose to judgment, to save all the meek in heart. Pause. For the inward thought of man shall give thanks to thee, and the memorial of his inward thought shall keep a feast to thee. Vow and pay your vows to Elohim, Yahuwah our Elohim. All that are round about him shall bring gifts, even to him that is terrible, and that takes away the spirits of princes, to him that is terrible among the kings of the earth. Or awesome, to him that is awesome, would be a better word. Vow and pay your vows says when Israel returns in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's what it's talking about. Vow and pay your vows. Keep your feast. There's no Belial in the midst of you. Psalm 76, 77 in regular. For the end for Idutham, a psalm of Asaph. I cried to Yahuwah with my voice. Yea, my voice was addressed to Elohim, and he gave heed to me. In the day of mine affliction, I earnestly sought Yahuwah, even with my hands by night before him, and I was not deceived. My soul refused to be comforted. I remembered Elohim and rejoiced. I poured out my complaint, and my soul fainted. Pause. All mine enemies set a watch against me. I was troubled and spoke not. I considered the days of old and remembered ancient years, and I meditated. I communed with my heart by night and diligently searched my spirit, saying, Will Yahuwah cast off forever Israel? And will he be well pleased no more? Will he cut off his mercy forever, even forever and ever? Will Elohim forget to pity, or will he shut up his compassions in his wrath? Pause. Oh, that's Isaiah, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of references to Ephraim in there. I don't see the verse I'm looking for, or verses. Ephraim in Isaiah, I think it's like, is that 50 or 40? Isaiah. Sorry for all the scrolling. Goodness. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember. But that's reference to the firstborn. It reminds me of it anyways. And I said, now I have begun. This is the change of the right hand of the Most High. I remember the works of Yahuwah, for I will remember thy wonders from the beginning, and I will meditate on all thy works, and will consider thy doings. O Elohim, thy way is in the sanctuary. Who is a great Elohim as our Elohim? Thou art the Elohim that doest wonders. Thou hast made known thy power among the nations. Thou hast with thine arm redeemed thy people. The sons of Jacob and Joseph, Jacob and Joseph. Pause. The waters saw thee, O Elohim. The waters saw thee and feared, and the depths were troubled. The waters are people. A lot of times in prophecy, there was an abundant sound of waters. The clouds uttered a voice, for thine arrows went abroad. Judah is his bow, Ephraim's his arrows. The voice of thy thunder was abroad, and around thy lightnings appeared to the world. The earth trembled and quaked. Thy way is in the sea, and thy paths in many waters, and thy footsteps cannot be known. Thou didst guide thy people as sheep by the hand of Moses and Aaron. Before, Psalm 70. Okay, so we got 76 here. When Elohim arose to judgment. So that's a couple back. to save all the afflicted ones of the earth. Selah, surely the wrath of man praises you. The survivors of your wrath are restrained. Make vows to Yahuwah your Elohim and fulfill them. Let all his neighbors bring presents to him who is to be feared. Messiah 77. Okay, so we're one behind here. Dead Sea Scrolls, we got a little fragment here. For the chief musician to Jeduthun, that'd be a Y. A psalm by Asaph. The clouds poured out water, the skies resounded with thunder, your arrows also flashed around, the voice of your thunder was in the whirlwind, the lightnings lit up the world, the earth trembled and shook, your way was through the sea, you passed through the great waters, your footsteps were not known, you led your people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. So 78. Psalm 78, a contemplation by Asaph. Hear my teaching, my people. Turn your ears to the words of my mouth. We go to 5. Yep. Give heed, O my people, to my law. Septuagint. I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter dark sayings which have been from the beginning, all which we have heard and known, and our fathers have declared to us. They were not hid from the children to a second generation, the fathers declaring the praises of Yahuwah and his mighty acts and his wonders which he wrought. For he established a covenant in Jacob, and appointed a teaching in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them. Might know, even the children who should be born, who should arise and tell their children, that they might set their hope in Elohim, and not forget Elohim's deeds, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that didn't make their hearts loyal, whose spirit was not steadfast with Elohim. The children of Ephraim, being armed and carrying bows, turned back in the day of battle. That's when they went, and they didn't seek Yah first. They said, we can beat them, and they went to fight, turned back. They didn't keep Elohim's covenant and refused to walk in his law. They forgot his doings, his wondrous deeds that he had shown them. He did marvelous things in the sight of their fathers, in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. So 12 to 36, 35, 31. And Septuagint has the plain of Tanais, field of Zoan. He clave the sea and led them through. He made the waters to stand as in a bottle. I wonder, 70, 78. Yeah, field of Zoan. KJV's got it right. Plain of Tanais, Septuagint's got it. And that could be just a Greek translation that makes it, changes the name, because their names are not always correct. Let's see here. Targums. Yeah. Turn that down. Zoom in. 78 in the Aramaic Targums has field of Tanais. Same thing. So it matches the Greek, not the Dead Sea Scrolls and what the KJV has. So he clave the sea and led them through. He made the waters to stand as in a bottle, and he guided them with a cloud by day. Notice how he talks about the second coming, and then he starts telling you about the Exodus, or telling us about the Exodus, because that is a an account that we're supposed to know for his second coming. And he guided them with a cloud by day. And Paul says that also, not just my words. First Corinthians 10:11, and if you go through here, he gives Exodus account, things that happened, and then he says, now all these things have happened unto them for examples, and they were written for our admonition, right? Upon whom the ends of the world are come, the last days, the end of time, or the end of our time anyways, right? So he guided them with a cloud by day, and all the night with the light of fire. He clave a rock in the wilderness, and made them drink as in a great deep, and he brought water out of the rock. And caused waters to flow down as rivers. Yeah. See, Elohim, Yahusha did all this right here. So you'll see in Enoch and Jubilees. And they sinned yet more against him. They provoked the Most High in the wilderness, and they tempted Elohim in their hearts, and asking meat for the desire of their souls. They spoke against Elohim and said, will Elohim be able to prepare a table in the wilderness? For as much as he smote the rock, and the waters flowed, and the torrents ran abundantly, will he be able also to give bread or prepare a table for his people? Will God, Elohim, for as much as he. Therefore Yahuwah heard and was provoked, and fire was kindled in Jacob, and wrath went up against Israel, because they believed not in Elohim and trusted not in his salvation. Yet he commanded the clouds from above, and opened the doors of heaven, and rained upon them manna to eat, and gave them the bread of heaven. Man ate angels' bread. He sent them provision to the full. Matthew 6:31. It's a reference. Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? Yep. He can feed us. He can give us what we need. He removed the south wind from heaven, and by his might he brought in the southwest wind. He rained upon them flesh like dust, and feathered birds like the sand of the seas. And they fell into the midst of their camp, round about their tents. So they ate and were completely filled, and he gave them their desire. They were not disappointed of their desire, but when their food was yet in their mouth, then the indignation of Elohim rose up against them, and slew the fattest of them, and overthrew the choice men of Israel. In the midst of all this, they sinned yet more, and believed not his miracles, and their days were consumed in vanity, and their years with anxiety. When he slew them, they sought him, and they returned and called betimes upon Elohim, and they remembered that Elohim was their helper, and that Most High Elohim was their Redeemer. Yet they loved him only with their mouth, and lied to him with their tongue, for their heart was not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant. Both go together. But he is compassionate, will forgive their sins, and will not destroy them. Yea, he will frequently turn away his wrath, and will not kindle his anger. And he remembered that they are flesh, a wind that passes away and returns not. How often did they provoke him in the wilderness, and anger him in a dry land? Yea, they turned back and tempted Elohim, and provoked the Holy One of Israel. They remembered not his hand, the day in which he delivered them from the hand of the oppressor, how he had wrought his signs in Egypt, and his wonders in the field of Tanaz. That would be Zoan. And I skipped past it, didn't I? Yep. When the anger, so 31 Dead Sea Scrolls, when the anger of Elohim went up against them, killed some of their fattest, and struck down the young men of Israel. For all this they still sinned, and didn't believe in his wondrous works. Therefore he consumed their days in vanity, and their years in terror. They remembered that Elohim was their rock, right? Rock is Messiah. Paul tells you. the Most High Elohim their Redeemer, but they flattered him with their mouth and lied to him with their tongue, for their heart was not right with him, neither were they faithful in his covenant. Right? So that would be field of Zoan, and had changed their rivers into blood and their streams that they should not drink. He sent against them the dog fly, and it devoured them, and the frog, and it spoiled them. He gave their fruit to the cankerworm, and their labors to the locust. He killed their vines with hail, and their sycamores with frost, and he gave up their cattle to hail, and their substance to fire. He sent out against them the fury of his anger, wrath, and indignation, and affliction, a message by evil angels. He made a way for his wrath. He spared not their souls from death, but consigned their cattle to death, and smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt. So when you see the first fruits of their labors in the tents of Ham, Mitzrayim, Egypt, son of Ham, evil angels, smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt. It tells you Mastema, also known as Satan, but Mastema is his name in Jubilees, that he's one of the evil angels that went through and smote the firstborn, angel of death. And he removed his people like sheep. He led them as a flock in the wilderness, and he guided them with hope, and they feared not, but the sea covered their enemies. And he brought them in to the mountain of his sanctuary, this mountain which his right hand had purchased, and he cast out the nations from before them, and made them to inherit by a line of inheritance, and made the tribes of Israel to dwell in their tents. It's going to happen again. Dwell in tents, Feast of Tabernacles, right? Let's see. Right. Revelation 7:9, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Feast of Tabernacles. What's Zechariah 14 say? Feast of Tabernacles. Jubilees, Abraham, palms in his hands. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High Elohim, and kept not his testimonies, and they turned back and broke covenant, even as also their fathers. They became like a crooked bow, and they provoked him with their high places, and moved him to jealousy with their graven images. And Elohim heard and lightly regarded them, and greatly despised Yisrael. And he rejected the tabernacle of Salom, his tent where he dwelt among men, and he gave their strength into captivity, and their beauty into the enemy's hand, and he gave his people to the sword, and disdained his inheritance. Fire devoured their young men. Excuse me. Fire devoured their young men, and their virgins mourn not. Their priests fell by the sword, and their widows shall not be wept for. So Yahuwah awaked as one out of sleep, and as a mighty man who has been heated with wine, and he smote his enemies in the hinder parts. He brought on them a perpetual reproach, and he rejected the tabernacle of Joseph, and chose not the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Yehudah, the Mount Zion, which he loved, and he built his sanctuary as the place of unicorns, or one-horned ox. The Greek translates unicorn. Let's see, 78. Where's it at? 69. Yeah, it's got unicorns too. Okay, he founded it forever on the earth. He built his sanctuary. He founded it forever on the earth. He chose David also as his servant, and took him up from the flocks of sheep. He took him from following the ewes, young lambs, great with young, to be the shepherd of Jacob, his servant, Jacob, and Yisrael, Israel, his inheritance. So he tended them in the innocency of his heart and guided them by the skillfulness of his hands. Tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loved. Interesting. All right. Happy Sabbath, Rosie. Christianity from Constantine, so terrible. Yes, it is. All right. So that's going to be 77. I'm going to stop there. So 70 to 77. All right. All right. Well, I hope that was a blessing and helpful to somebody. And hope you have a good Sabbath. Happy Sabbath.